Good afternoon, Professor. This is Stephen Manohar Kuram, and this particular number is my network ID. I'm here to give an explanation on my programming assignment. Uh, we have questions. The first question is to it asks us to print a pyramid that is flipped vertically. So I basically took a variable named n and gave a value of 5, and we have two for loops. The first for loop starts with 1, and then it goes till n plus 1, which would be 6. So we're starting with 0. So this is the iteration variable. We're essentially printing a star and then a space after the star multiplied by I, which would be, if I would be 1, we are printing this one time, and then if I is 2, we're printing this two times. So we're essentially concatenating two strings here. So the process goes until we reach the n value of 5, this first half. The second half, what we're doing is we're subtracting 1 minus n, which would be 4. So this would be 4, right? And then we are doing a step count that is negative, which would be decreasing uh, minus 1 from n every single step until we reach 0. So that's what we essentially did here. And the second problem, what we are asked to do is pick out all the elements that are in the odd indices. So we were given this list, and then we were asked to print out all the elements that are in the odd indices, which would be 1. The index is 1. So this is 0, this is 1, and then this is 2. We are not going to select this, 3, and so on and so forth. So what I essentially did was just use the step count that is in the for loop in Python. It's a simple way. Starting with 1, I just used a step count of 2, which would skip the index of 2 and go to 3, and so on. So if we start with 0, this would be 1, the element 1, and then step count of 2, which would skip this and go to 3, uh, and then step count of 2, so it will skip this and go to the next odd number, right? So 3, 4, 5. So this would be 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 would not be printed, uh, and then it would go to this one, and then it would be printed, and so on and so forth. Coming to the next question, we were write a code that appends the type of elements for a given list. This is the given list, extended output, and then we are asked to append the type of the elements in a list. So what I did was I just took the list that is given, and then I created an empty list so that I can append the type of the elements into this empty list. I started a for loop with the iteration variable element in X, which would be this list, starting from the 0th element, going all the way through n minus first element, right? So I was just appending the type of the element into this list. So here the type function is used to determine the type of this particular element, which would be each single item of the list. And then I just printed X and then printed the type of the element so that we would get both the outputs side by side for the comparison. And the next question would be, write a function that takes a list and returns a new list with unique items of the first list. This is a sample list and the unique items. So what we are essentially asked to do is to just print the elements that are not repeated. So there are a multitude of ways in which we can solve this particular problem, but I opted to just use the set function, which would just convert the uh, a given data type into set. So if I give a list, it would convert it into set. So it the because I did this because whenever you convert a particular list or any type to a set, it would automatically remove the duplicate elements and give me the elements that are unique. So because that's the property of sets. So I just did this, and then like I assigned this to the unique list. I essentially just printed out this unique list. So that's what I did. So I just called the function get unique items, and then gave the argument as a sample list, and then I just printed out the unique list here. As you can see the output. Coming to the last problem, this particular problem is quite interesting. So here we were asked to give the number of uppercase letters and the number of lowercase letters given a string, the quick brown fox. So we can see that there are a couple of uppercase letters, which would be three, and then all the other are lowercase letters. So I just, took two variables named uppercase letters and lowercase letters. I defined this function, and the input string I gave it as an argument, and then I started a for loop having character as the iteration variable and string as the in the range in which we are traversing. Yeah. So I just basically used if character is upper function in the Python, and then I also used character dot is lower. This function essentially what it does is checks if the character, which would be the iteration variable, if it's uppercase or if it's lowercase. So if it's uppercase, I'm just doing this function, which would be adding one to that variable. This particular thing can also be written as uppercase is equal to uppercase plus one, which would essentially add or give us a count of the number of iterations. So if this iterations gives a result of uppercase, it would change this number to two, and so on and so forth. So we have three uppercase letters and 12 lowercase letters in total. This is kind of a fun automation in which we can just give huge amounts of text, and this small piece of code would just basically give us the number of uppercase letters and number of lowercase letters. So this particular problems, these are like basic problems, and then it was fun to solve them. So thank you for giving this assignment and hope you like it.